Alright, it is here. Star Wars Episode VIII, The Last Jedi is upon us. Alright, let's get our nerd on. Star Wars Episode VIII, The Last Jedi. So Star Wars The Last Jedi is written and directed by Rian Johnson. This is the 8th installment of the numbered Star Wars movie, not counting the spin-offs in the Rogue One. So in The Force Awakens, Starkiller Base was destroyed. Kylo Ren goes back to Snoke. Rey finds Luke Skywalker, hands him his dad's lightsaber or his lightsaber, and that's where we start out. So Rey wants to be trained by Luke. Kylo Ren has something to prove, and all the while Poe Dameron and the rest of the Resistance wants to be the spark that will light the fire that will burn the First Order down. And like any movie, there are things I like, things I didn't like, because it's just a movie. First of all, what I like. Let's talk about Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill. Because he had 0 lines in the last movie, and this is kind of a long time coming. I thought he was great in this movie. He's clearly a damaged man. The weight of the world, which is funny because there's not just one world in Star Wars, so I guess it would be the weight of the galaxy, is on his shoulders, and you really feel it. He's kind of an old curmudgeon. He's kind of a dick. He's kind of sarcastic, but I thought he was fantastic. In fact, my favorite of the arcs in this movie is Rey's time on the island with Luke. And what was great is, as gruff and grumpy as Luke was, he didn't cease to be Luke. It could have been Mark Hamill just being an old grumpy guy, and for a second I thought he was, but then something happens, he has some dialogue where you're like, oh no, you're still Luke Skywalker, you've just kind of been raked through a river of shit. But Luke is still there, that's important. Also, Poe Dameron has a lot more to do. I'm glad Poe Dameron had a lot more to do. Of our new heroes, he's the one we saw the least in the last movie, so I'm glad we saw a bit more of him in this movie. We saw a lot more of him, actually. There were a couple things in this movie that straight up reminded me of Battlestar Galactica. It's like Rian Johnson was like, oh, I love Battlestar Galactica, gonna put that in a Star Wars movie. Yeah, it sounds awesome, right? Because they were cool. And I will say this about the movie, when a character is in danger, you do feel that danger. And I love that. How many movies out there is the character's in peril, you're like, yeah, whatever. I know they're fine. There's something about the craftsmanship in this one. Rian Johnson was like, this is how you should make a movie like this. That feeling of security is gone. So few times did it happen in a film. Which the movie has a lot of humor in it too. There's another thing. Quite a few times I laughed. Some of the humor didn't land as much as they probably wanted it to. Point is, if that J.J. Abrams humor irritated you in episode 7, it's still in episode 8, so it'll probably irritate you here. And visually speaking, Rian Johnson is on another level of directing. Less lens flares, I could say that. The action sequences are great. The space battles look fantastic. The ground battles look fantastic. The movie just looks beautiful. There is one scene in this movie in particular that it's such an orgasmically gorgeous moment. It happens and it's there and you're watching it and you're like, I want that poster or screensaver or wallpaper on my phone. You'll know the scene I'm talking about. The movie will go on, you'll be like, is that the, and then it'll happen. You'll be like, that's exactly what he's talking about. The Finn and, what's her name? Rose? I think her name's Rose. Finn and Rose. That arc is the one where I'm like, it just didn't really work for me. This is actually, it's the arc I can talk about that's not a spoiler. And the fact that it's not a spoiler, the fact that I feel like I can talk about their arc, but I don't feel like I can talk about a lot of the other arcs, shows how just insignificant their arc is. They go to a dumb planet that bores me, and just when they're on their mission, rest assured, you can leave the theater to take a piss. You're welcome, internet. I mean, it has a lesson behind it, and that is animal cruelty is bad. I'm an animal lover, right? I'm there for the message. I just feel like, did you bring them to that planet to have that message in a Star Wars movie? Because it really does detract from the movie as a whole. It's clearly when the movie bogs down. I've seen a couple people on Twitter say the movie feels too long. It's that scene. If you take that out, you could shave off a half an hour off this movie. I mean, when it got to that was cool for him, but that then brings me to Phasma, who is in this movie, and it's not like it's some big comeback. It's not like they were like, oh, we didn't really use Phasma in the last movie, now here's her chance to shine. No, it's like we didn't use her in the last movie, and she's just as useless here. It's a bummer. Phasma underwhelmed me. Snoke underwhelmed me. Yeah, the big super baddie that was built up in the first movie. Now we're gonna see more of him here. The movie, and I mean this in the most complimentary way, goes in bold new directions. Unexpected directions. Things that Star Wars really hasn't done. And when you do bold directions in Star Wars with established lore that nerds like me can kind of quantify, sometimes you're like Mr. Spock. Fascinating. Sometimes you're like Han Solo.
That's not how the Force works.
Narratively speaking, I cannot think of another Star Wars movie taking the same flight path, proverbial flight path, The Last Jedi takes. There are some things I love about that, and there are some things I just didn't like. And that's why this movie is definitely one of those movies that's like, you're gonna have to watch this twice. And I really want to watch this movie again so I can really see if the flaws still stick with me, if I forgive them. Time fades everything. Time fades greatness and time fades flaws. All depends on which side of history a movie's on. Guys, in the end, The Last Jedi is admittedly complex, but there are a couple things in this movie that leave you feeling unfulfilled. Luke was great. Rey was great. Kylo Ren was great. Basically, everyone who was great in the first movie, they're also great here. What I like about the movie is its deeper tones and its themes, and the message about heroes and people in general. I really like that. Definitely enjoyable. It's positive. You should go see it. This movie has moments of greatness, like character moments that I'm going to remember. This movie also has judgment calls that leave me feeling underwhelmed and unfulfilled. And it's all about how much the frustrating things frustrate you. Did they frustrate you as much as they frustrated me? I'm gonna do the responsible thing here, as I feel this movie is a 2-time watch before I rate it up, not giving a rating yet. Because giving a rating ultimately would be unfair to both of us. This is why. This review was so fucking vague that if I give a rating now, for you guys, you'll be like, you gave that rating, but you didn't give a good reason as to why it got that rating. The things you loved, the things you hated, why does it stand there? So you'll feel cheated and unfulfilled. I just think in a world where YouTube's like, everyone's gotta get it up now. Did you see your feed at 9 a.m. this morning? 9 a.m. Tuesday morning? Yeah, that shit went fucking bananas. Because all of us YouTube people are like, we gotta get the reviews up right when the embargo lifts. So we all do it at the same time. We all have to mad scramble. I feel like I haven't processed this movie enough to actually rate it up. So I feel like the responsible thing to do is just hold off on the rating. Let you know how I view the movie on my initial run through. That's done. Yes, here we are. Neither of us benefit from a rating today. So if I'm going to rate this movie, I will rate it in my spoiler video, which I will upload this weekend after I watch the movie again. So Star Wars The Last Jedi, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Or have you not? What are you looking forward to? Whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.